Hey friends, Dave here at Transfer Express, and today we're talking about heat presses. More specifically, what features you should be considering when you're looking to upgrade your current heat press, or maybe you're just looking to purchase your first one. So are you ready? Let's get right to it. If you are new to Transfer Express, we are the world's largest supplier of custom screen printed and digital heat transfers, heat presses, free customizable designs, wholesale apparel, and expert advice to help grow your t-shirt business. If you haven't already, subscribe. We're kicking out new videos like this one every single week. Now, a heat press is one piece of equipment you're going to find in almost any embroidery or screen printing shop. And of course, many small and home businesses too, and that's for good reason. They're one of the most versatile pieces of equipment for decorating apparel. From t-shirts to bags or even shorts and outerwear, a heat press allows you to print those tricky items that otherwise don't work too well on other machines. Now, of course, for at-home businesses and those Etsy shops or online retailers, a heat press is likely the only equipment you're going to find there, as it allows for easy, on-demand decoration with screen printed transfers, heat transfer vinyl, or even direct-to-film heat transfers. Now, there's no need to stock pre-printed garments for fulfillment. Just print and ship once that shirt is ordered, reducing the investment of keeping shirts on the shelves that might not sell. So when you have the blanks and just the transfers, those blanks you could use for anything else, and the transfers are just a minimal investment if those styles don't sell. So when you're looking to upgrade your heat press, let's start with a wish list from your current setup. So what are some features that you wish you had while you've owned this heat press? Did your last press have trouble maintaining temperature? Or maybe it struggled with inconsistent heat? Maybe it was uncomfortable to work with for those longer periods of time when you're doing those big runs. Did you need a larger size? Like if your heat press platen was just too small for some larger graphics you got requested to do? So just start to ask yourself some questions and keep these in mind when you're shopping for a new press, as each decorator has a little bit different needs and workflow to your own process. Now let's start with one of the largest differences between heat presses, and that's size. Now, a full-size heat press is going to be 16 by 20 inches commonly, sometimes even larger. Now, most presses come in this size, but being quite large itself can lead to some printing issues with smaller garments, namely youth, onesies, or women's fitted styles. Now, you're going to want to ensure that any collars or seams stay off of the printing surface for a nice, flat, even, smooth surface for printing on. So if your old press was maybe a little bit smaller, you could still use it for those smaller sized items. But along with size, we can look at the ability to swap out the lower platen, allowing you to easily decorate on those smaller items with your full-size heat press. Things like bags, accessories, those onesies, and the youth garments that we mentioned. Now, with these interchangeable platens, it makes your heat press easily upgradable, even allowing for specialty platens like the tag-along HP platen, specifically designed to print the front of the t-shirt and that inside tag print at the same exact time. 2 locations with just one press. Now, as we talk about these platens, threadability is going to come into play. Now, threadability is essentially being able to open the garment and load it onto the platen. So you're only printing on one layer of fabric instead of 2, like the front and back doubled up on top of each other if you just lay over top. Now, some heat presses allow full threadability right out of the box, while others do not. Now, if it doesn't mention in the features of that little bullet point list of the heat press that it's threadable, odds are it's not. Some heat presses have accessories too, like this Hotronix caddy stand, specifically designed for the auto-open clamshell press that allows for full threadability, because this press by itself is not. Threading the garment here makes for speedy loading and aligning, which leads to quicker transfer placement and efficient printing. Now, next up, the main ingredient. Yep, we're talking heat. To avoid inconsistent heat or a press that maybe struggles to maintain temperature through printing a bulk order, you're going to want to ensure a couple things. Number 1 is a cast-in heating element. Now that means the heating element is actually in the middle of the metal of the heating element and not just kind of sitting on top. Now this typically makes the heating element much thicker, allowing it to retain and maintain consistent heat. much like a cast iron pan does on the stove in the kitchen. Of course, also important is the heating coil itself. On many cheap presses, you'll find it configured in something like an X shape, which leads to cold spots. These cold spots might not be evident at first, but once you're halfway through that big job, you might notice some application issues on your transfers in just one spot. And shirt after shirt, that one area just doesn't look like that transfer's applying right, leading to tons of frustration. Maybe you have to wait then for your heat press to heat back up and get rid of that cold spot, or kind of move the placement around on the press to ensure that you're avoiding that cold spot. Either way, something you want to avoid. Now, since we're here talking about heat, let's mention the actual control features and accurate temperature readings. It doesn't matter how cool a display looks or how many buttons the heat press has if the temperature of the heating element just never matches what the control display says. Speaking of the control board here too, one thing to look for is multiple time settings. While this necessarily isn't a deal breaker, it really makes it easy with two-step applications. So even if you say need to do a preheat for 5 seconds and then a full application for 15, a dual-stage timer really helps you stay organized and keep it that easy. Now, of course, with some other presses, you could even add more than just 2. Like with the Fusion models, where you could add up to 4 different time settings for whatever application you're doing. Now, since we're still talking about controls, having an accurate pressure readout on the control board is incredibly handy for dialing in the pressure for the transfer type that you are applying. Of course, you need the right time, temperature, and pressure for quality heat transfer applications, and pressure is commonly one of the most overlooked. Having a digital readout helps lead to less misprinted shirts, and it gives you peace of mind that the garments leaving your shop are going to have quality, long-lasting prints. Now, sticking with pressure for our next point, one absolute must-have is an over-the-center pressure adjustment. With pressure controlled at the center of the heat press, you can ensure from edge to edge, back to front, that the pressure is the same. When you have those pressure controls on the back of the unit, say on some of the maybe more inexpensive or cheap models, you'll notice the pressure is higher in the back and lighter in the front, leaving those prints near the left chest or up towards the front of you under applied. And as you can see here on the Hotronix Autoclam, the over-the-center pressure adjustment and floating platen allows it to contact the platen flat, not pinching in the back and barely touching in the front, but instead the whole heating element touches the lower platen all at the same time. Now, of course, talking about the operation of the heat press leads us to our next point: automatic features. Standing at a heat press all day printing shirts, opening and closing the press could start to feel like a real workout. So for high volume or any real volume, you could start to look at automatic features. So auto open features, just like this Hotronix Autoclam, where it actually uses a magnet to automatically open the press once the timer expires. Now, this not only helps with wear and tear and fatigue on yourself, but it also adds increased efficiency, reducing the steps you have to take to manually open the press. Now, you might be saying, well, that's not that big of a deal, but if you're adding an extra step of opening the press with every single shirt, over 200 shirts, that's 200 extra steps that you could avoid if the press is doing it for you. Of course, air-powered machines make closing, just like opening, automatic too, but you'll need to ensure that you have an air compressor ready to run that piece of equipment. Now, if you're looking to upgrade your heat press, reliability is probably going to be a big component of what you're looking for. We've heard tons of horror stories of heat presses breaking right when you need them the most. So take a peek at the warranty on the press you're looking at. Knowing that there's, say, a lifetime warranty on the heating element, 5 years on all of the framework of this press, and so on, could really give you the peace of mind knowing that your investment is going to last for many years to come in the future. Now, hopefully, this is more than enough to consider when you're shopping for your next heat press purchase. Here at Stahl's, we are proud to offer Hotronix heat presses that are made right here in the USA, using quality materials and quality workmanship to build reliable machines. Now, made in the USA also means that you could actually talk to real people who are here to help if you have any questions or in the case that something goes wrong. Now, do you think we missed anything? Maybe have features that you're looking for yourself? Let us know down in the comments section below. We love to keep the conversation going. But as always, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe here to the Transfer Express YouTube page to stay up to date on all of the helpful t-shirt printing tips, tricks, inspiration, and education that we're dropping every single week. But until next time, I'm Dave. Happy pressing.